You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I can't let him take my soul. Nah, no. Oh, I can't let him take my soul. Nah, no. See, we was cool right before it hit the fence. But it hit the fan when I got him down at the bench. But I took a break, I had to leave and go get cleansed. God forgive me for all my sins. I can't say these cause my last name ain't Kent. Cooking on the stove, that's the way he paid the rent. Working on the pole, that's the way she pays tuition. Better watch your soul, cause you know they trying to get it. Yeah. I learned my right from wrong on a song. I let my heart bleed on my sleeve through microphones. I'm trying to right my wrongs by writing out my wrongs. Ran through a check, cause it's hard to live off bread alone. So if you see me slipping, yeah, let me know. Cause it ain't the end of times yet, I know, but it's getting close. Yeah, I need my space to breathe, that's why I be going ghost. I ain't trying to stay up on that wide road, cause I can't let him take my soul. Nah, no. Oh, I can't let him take my soul. Nah, no.
Hello, Pyro Media family. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience with us is fruitful. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. And we do hope you consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
And you better talk to me nicely. Next to blow, little bitch, I might be. Oh, can't forget all the days they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't good advice, we know. Talk to me nicely. I know that they hit it, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't good advice, we know. We on top, flipping the bird, they going sick. But I'ma make them eat every...
Hey, everybody. It is I, Giselle, and I'm back at y'all with another episode of I Have Thoughts, okay? And this week, I got some thoughts, okay? I got thoughts every week, but this week I have thoughts, and they are some real deal Holyfield type shit around a couple of different things and a couple of different topics. And let me tell y'all something. In case you are also wondering why my life has been a messed up jumble of thoughts and why I missed last week, your girl is getting married in less than 3 weeks. And y'all had for to told me that it was difficult planning your own wedding, but y'all ain't for to tell me how really difficult it was planning your own wedding. And so to everybody who did not seek to actively talk me out of this, just that, okay? And the people that get it, okay? I just want y'all to know that. Just, okay? For all of y'all that did not actively boot me in the back of my head, okay? And for all of y'all that didn't, I just want y'all to know, count your days. Count your motherfucking days, okay? Anyway, I wanted to open the show with something that I feel would be very nostalgic for all of us. Now, in these day and ages and in this time and with everything that we have going on, there are so many different conversations around the ways in which we should rear our children. And a lot of us have adapted this new narrative of what it means to, you know, do the soft parenting or gentle parenting or, you know, not being the parents that we had type of vibes. But not everybody is on that type of time. So I want to run the clip and then we're going to have a discussion because I think that there's a lot to be considered when we have this particular conversation in general. And in case you hadn't seen it, I wanted to give you and your friends something to discuss in the group chat. So let's see it.
Think that you have the right to disrespect me like that and call me that? I got it for you. So go ahead and say it right now.
But you told me to say it already, and I said, now you know.
Yeah, go ahead. So let me go ahead and call your daddy and let him know.
Now you know, I didn't know
what?
I didn't know what I was saying.
No, but when they told you, you just told me right there you did know what you were saying, right?
That's because you told me to say it, and I respect you as a woman. I respect you as a
Now you look like a bitch with your legs straddled over a fucking chair. So which one of us is a bitch? Legs cocked open. Oh, okay.
Bro, you're my mom, and I respect you as a woman.
Nah,
And
fuck
so-
that. You call me a bitch. I got your
You told
bitch.
me
You
to
standing there
tell
with your legs open looking like a whole pussy.
So, I mean, all jokes aside, y'all, there's a lot happening in this video. And as a Black woman who was raised by a Black woman, who is reared by Black women, who navigates the world mostly and most of the time with Black women, I want to immediately jump to the side of the mom, right? Because even outside of the idea of being a Black woman, as a woman, it don't feel good when any man, but I'm assuming, especially when your son decides that he wants to up jump the boogie and call you a puta, right? And then especially as an Afro-Latina woman, bitch, I wish like fuck I would have called my abuela a puta, okay? I would have gotten all the chanclas thrown at my motherfucking head so fast, it wouldn't have made no sense. And on top of that, I wouldn't have been able to walk for several days because the way I would have got my ass torn up after the chancla would have just been astronomical. But there's other things at play that I also want to interject into this conversation. Now, could we have been dealing with a case of a kid who believed that his mama just didn't know what was going on and he thought he was going to get, like he thought he was being cute and that, it was going to slide? Maybe. Could she be overreacting because, maybe he genuinely did not know what he was saying and he was just repeating something? I don't know. All we have to go off of is this particular clip. And what I also want to say about this is that media is a powerful tool for a reason. And I want y'all to acknowledge, and I want us all to acknowledge that all we have to go off of is this clip. Okay, so when we think about the fact that all we have to go off of is this particular clip, we don't know what happened before this. We don't know what was said. And quite honestly, even before this game, we don't know the relationship that he has with his mom. Because what I also think is really interesting is the fact that he keeps reiterating the fact that he respects her as a woman, right? And there's something interesting about that particular word choice, which makes me believe that he's either heard it before, maybe it was said before the recording started, or maybe this is just something that she walks around the house saying all the time. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I am really big on a show on Netflix called Heartbreak High. If you have not watched it, get into it. Specifically season 2, about episode 7, we find out that one of the most misogynistic characters in the show actually has a mom that goes out of her way to make him feel like being a man is a huge problem and does a disservice to her. She even goes on to say things like, oh, I wish I had a daughter. Basically, some of the things that we see happen all the time with young girls, but it happens in reverse on the show with a young man. And that helps us to understand and kind of further inform our, reasoning for why he's this person at school. And it's because he really doesn't get to be a boy or a man or be happy about his manhood at home. And he's having to unlearn toxic masculinity, not from his father, but from his mother, who's made him feel like the idea of being born with a penis just makes him public enemy number one. And I think that without digging too deep into this, because again, we don't know these people's relationship, and all we have is this little clip to go off of, I feel like based off of what I'm hearing, some of that might also be at play. But it does not absolve you from the idea of being in a space where you call your mom out of her name, and no matter what language it is, it's never funny, it's never okay, and it's always going to be disrespectful. But also seeing as how what it looks like is happening is that there may be a co-parenting situation. So maybe he lives with mom most of the time, and maybe he lives with dad some of the other time, or maybe dad just wasn't home. But either way it goes, the fact that she felt the need to call dad in order to reprimand this situation lets me know that there's an understanding that respect for women in this household is very, 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 very motherfucking so a mandatory behavior. And while that's a mandatory behavior, I saw a lot of people in the comments saying things like, you can get this point across without the abuse of the child. I don't think that there was a lot of abuse happening. Because if you know black mamas, and if you know mamas in general, and if you know moms of color, to me, I saw her exercising a lot of restraint, okay? Because there were a lot of black moms that would have took him up and through there, okay? That boy would have been through the door. Fuck calling your daddy. He would have just been on his ass, and if they had stairs, he would have hit every single one of them motherfuckers on the way down, and she still wouldn't have been done. So I think that as we, talk about the idea of abuse, I don't think that that's abuse, right? I think what is happening is that she is having a visceral response to somebody playing in her motherfucking face. And not just somebody playing in her motherfucking face, her own child, her own flesh and blood, the thing that she spent hours and hours and hours, very likely, pushing out of her hoo-ha, right? Got rooted to tutor, or maybe cut, from end to end. And this little motherfucker got the nerve to decide he gonna call me a bitch. You got me fucked up. And I don't care what language you said it in, you've got me fucked up. And so even in the fact that I saw some people like coming to the defense of this child by saying like, oh, at the end of the day, these kids are so disrespectful and rude. But that doesn't mean that you get to abuse them. You don't get to beat him like this. Oh, somebody needs to take him. I think that first and foremost, you were sitting in a rolling chair. It wasn't her intention to knock you on your motherfucking ass out of that rolling chair, because I think that if it was, she would have done a lot more once you hit the ground. I think that her intention was to just assert her dominance in that moment and remind him there is a hierarchy in this home. And you are at the bottom of the totem pole as it pertains to people that get to be disrespectful up in this motherfucker. Quite frankly, nobody gets to be disrespectful up in this motherfucker. But if they do, you're the last motherfucker that gets to be disrespectful, and especially towards me. And we have to find a really a fine line between calling everybody a child abuser and telling people that we're going to take their kids away, and understanding when somebody deserves to reset their home and reset the boundaries in their home so that people understand and go into the world with the understanding that this is the standard that you will be moving through and moving with. I don't think that there's any problem. And especially when we've seen the effects of what happens when you don't move this way, I don't think that there's any problem with a mom telling her son, like, hey, absolutely the fuck not. And what you're not going to do, and what you won't do, and what you'll never do. Because what'll happen is, if he's allowed to call her a puta, right, then he feels like he's allowed to go out into the world and call Jenny and Becky and Jennifer and Keisha and Tasha and Nicole a puta, right? And then it goes from becoming a puta to a whore, to a cunt, to a slut, to a bitch. And then you graduate from the talking, and then you go into the hitting and the slapping and all of those things. And before you know it, we've accepted and we've also reared and enabled another abusive ass man out here in the world. So when we think about the idea of what it means to be abusive to our children, I think we need to really redefine or understand the definition of excessive force, right? Excessive spanking, excessive, all of those things. I don't think that she necessarily put him down. But there were a lot of men in the comments that talked about the idea of her saying like, oh, look at you, you like a pussy now, da 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 da. Again, boys do these things to each other all the time. Fathers and sons do these things to each other all the time. And it always gives boys will be boys until it's a woman. And particularly, we only have this conversation about the idea of the emasculation of men when it's a black mom trying to discipline her son and doing this. But black fathers will turn around and be on football coaches, be football coaches on little league teams and all of that stuff, and be telling these boys, oh, they pussy and X, Y, and Z. And if y'all don't run these laps, y'all are so and so and so and so and this, that, and the third. We even know what army culture and what militia culture and military culture gives when nobody's looking. But the second that a black woman wants to exert that same type of energy in a means to help prevent bad behavior in the same way that men do, in the same way that boys will be boys in, all of a sudden she's this poison ass, bitter ass, she need a man in her life ass black bitch. And I don't understand that. If women cannot take, excuse me, y'all. If women cannot take notes from men on how to rear men, then how the fuck are single mothers or mothers who are dealing with situations where they're co-parenting, and so maybe there isn't a father in the house at all times? Or what about just the mom that has a husband or a significant other that works long hours, and so sometimes when the shit pops off, you ain't got time to wait for him to get off work. You have to handle it in this moment. And if moms can't readapt what that looks like in order to keep their son from going down the wrong path without being called a bitch or without being told that she's emasculating him or whatever the case may be, then I think that a lot more fathers need to step the fuck up and step back into these young boys' lives and take over. But you can't complain and you can't bitch and you can't moan and you can't whine every single time a Black woman who is doing something either because she has to or because in the moment it requires it. Y'all can't bitch and complain and talk about the masculinity needing to be saved when what she's essentially doing is saving the masculinity so that that masculinity does not end up in jail, under the jail, or underneath somebody's dad's shotgun because you decided that you want to disrespect his daughter and I let you get away with disrespecting me. So I think that there's nuance to that situation, and we've definitely got to have conversations about what it looks like to be there on all sides of the idea of being a successful but also a nuanced parent. Now, let me tell y'all something. As it pertains to parenting, and as it pertains to nuanced parenting, and as it pertains to, you know, rearing the children together, Jeezy and Jeannie Mai ain't doing it, okay? All right, Jeezy and Jeannie Mai are not doing it. Now, let me tell y'all something. This next story that I wanted to hit y'all with is something that does not surprise me, not one bit, okay? Jeannie Mai has filed domestic abuse claims against Jeezy in their ongoing divorce, and she is saying that, you know, this man has hit her and has, you know, physically and verbally abused her throughout their relationship, just like every other non-Black woman that y'all get with, all of you Black men, okay, that love to go and search for these non-Black women, and y'all put them up on these pussy pedestals because they don't have no Black DNA, and she's an exotic, and she's this and she's that. All of y'all niggas that love these women, right? At some point in the relationship, a lot of y'all end up having situations like this because y'all go out of y'all motherfucking way looking to make sure, and in this case, I genuinely believe these are not the views of Pyro Media, these are the views of Hope Giselle. Can we run the ad? Can we run the disclaimer? These are the views of Hope Giselle, okay? And so I personally believe that Jeezy, amongst a lot of other Black men who seek out these women, they have what they like to call the formula. Y'all don't really like these bitches. Y'all realize halfway and midway through these relationships that y'all don't like these bitches. Y'all realize how annoying and silly and off base and just how completely different from you they are. And then y'all spend the entirety of maybe 2 or 3 months with them. You might get married and give her 2 or 3 years, and you want your little mixed children, because that's what y'all are really going after. In my opinion, my theory, my thought process is that a lot of you all are dealing with so much self-hatred that you refuse to acknowledge the fact that a lot of y'all just want these mixed babies. Y'all don't like the idea of having mixed children. Of having fully Black children. Y'all want, especially if you have a daughter, y'all want these daughters to look like the bitches that you want to fuck. And so y'all go and get these women who are not Black so that you can have a mixed biracial looking daughter, preferably, or a son who don't look like you, but preferably y'all want daughters that look like the women that y'all want to fuck. Y'all want these loose curly hair girls with these different colored eyes and these different features that make them look exotic, because y'all want to be able, when you sitting around your boys and your girl turns 16 in some weird ass pedophilic ass way, which is so fucking weird to me, and nobody talks about this shit. But a lot of you Black men that go out of your way to date these white women and these different races of women, when these girls start to get of age and y'all bring them around the fellas, all of y'all are doing this dick swinging contest with who looks the most exotic, knowing that low key all of your homeboys are looking at your daughter like, bitch, if you weren't her daughter. And some of them don't give a fuck that that's your daughter. They still gonna wait till she turn 18 and try to slide in her DMs on some I'm your daddy friend and I done been around you since you was in yay high to a grasshopper type shit. And that is so fucking weird to me. And I think that in this particular situation, I don't care. I usually don't care in general, but considering the timeline behind this, you got your little baby and then all of a sudden everything started to go to shit. I don't believe necessarily that Jeannie Mai was abused verbally or physically or whatever the case may be. I think that things might have happened, but like with most non-Black women, a lot of them like to amp up the story for the sake of the press. Or maybe the press is amping up the story and Jeannie was like, no, we had an argument and he called me a bitch one day. And now the press, for the sake of being the press, are saying that she was, verbally and physically abused or whatever the case may be. But either way it goes, I think that in a lot of these cases, it's really interesting to me how as soon as they get the babies that they want, as soon as they get these little mixed breed children that they would like, all of a sudden the marriage goes up in flames. You don't like her no more. You find out that she racist and her family racist and all this and that. You was fucking this bitch for like 2 years before y'all got married. What you mean you just not discovering that her family racist? Bitch, you been knew that. You knew that girl was annoying. And furthermore, you knew she was annoying because the bitch had a whole TV show where she spent an hour being annoying. How you gonna act like you ain't know that a girl was annoying? And so to me, it just gives very much so y'all be trying to get away with murder. And every single time y'all try to pull an Olivia Pope, these white girls, these different colored girls, these different race girls, get y'all ass right the fuck on together. And so now, Mr. Snowman, okay, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of what happens when Black men deal with non-Black women in the court and legal system. She gonna take you for all of the little snow that you got, and you have to run your ass right back over to Keisha or somebody that's gonna hold you down, that understands what it means to be a Black person, specifically a Black man in America. And the sad part about it is, I would hope that the next Black woman that you get with, that you stay with, and you don't use her to build you up, only to end up with another Giselle Bunchkin looking ass girl, because y'all truly don't like women, but most of y'all don't like Black women as Black men, and it shows in the choices that you make. You've got your little, you got your little mixed baby, okay? Now, I think that giving or give or take, how much money Jeannie get up out of you, and whether or not you're going to even be able to see or spend time with this mixed baby. Because now that she done filed domestic abuse, child, she likely going to try to keep this baby away from you. And you being Jeezy the snowman before you became Jeezy the man with the Asian girl is not going to help your case. You saw what they did to Young Thug. They're going to play all of your old music in the courtroom. They're going to play all of your old shit in the courtroom about how you was snapping and trapping, about how you was shooting and geeking, and all of that stuff. Your music is not child friendly. It tells a story that would make any judge believe that being with you alone would not be a safe environment. And so this same little mixed baby that you done risked your motherfucking freedom for is the same mixed baby you ain't going to be able to see until they turn 18. And you better hope that those Asian folks do not turn that baby against you. And if I were you, I would hope that your genes came through stronger than hers and the baby is a little bit dark skinned and experiences some racism from her family. Because if that baby does not, you might as well say that this first one is a dub, Brian McKnight, because that baby ain't gonna know who you are. But that's just my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all are thinking in the comments, and we will be right back after this break.
Talk to me nicely. Next to blow, little bitch, I might be. Can't forget all the days they overpriced me.
Elevate your entertainment with Watch Vim. Discover the ultimate online streaming destination. Get an auto-renewing monthly subscription for unlimited content on all devices. Join us in supporting a Black-owned streaming platform that brings top-tier entertainment. Let the streaming excitement begin at Watch Vim, your seamless experience for endless entertainment. Stream online or download the Watch Vim app now.
Are you ready for enlightening conversations that transcend boundaries? Get ready for Conversations with Clergy, brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network. In partnership with the world's largest publicly funded international collaboration, the HVTN is dedicated to evaluating vaccines to prevent HIV and COVID-19. But their impact doesn't stop there. The HVTN is at the forefront of advancing vaccinology, social and behavioral sciences, statistics, immunology, and even contributing to the research on tuberculosis and COVID-19 vaccines. By supporting Conversations with Clergy, the HVTN not only brings you thought-provoking discussions, but also contributes to the global effort to combat infectious diseases. Tune in, stay informed, and be a part of the change. Conversations with Clergy, supported by the HVTN, empowering conversations, empowering lives. Join us in this journey of knowledge, understanding, and progress. Conversations with Clergy, proudly brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network, because together we can make a difference.
Catch the electrifying sounds of Bulletin Flight Radio anywhere you go? Yes, you heard it right. Tune in to the high-flying beats and soaring melodies by downloading the TuneIn app on your mobile device. Just search for Bulletin Flight Radio and hit play. It's that easy. And if you have a smart device like Alexa or Google, just say, "Hey Google," or "Alexa, play Bulletin Flight Radio on TuneIn." Experience the rush of adrenaline wherever you are. Listen to Bulletin Flight Radio on TuneIn using your Alexa or Google devices. Soaring through the skies has never sounded this good. Don't miss out on the ultimate musical journey. Tune in now to Bulletin Flight Radio on TuneIn and let the music take you on an unforgettable ride. Get ready to elevate your listening experience. Brought to you by Bulletin Flight Radio.
I noticed they hit it, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't get it.
Hey, everybody. It is I, Giselle, and we are back with another episode of I Have Thoughts, okay? So in case you missed the first two topics for today's episode, we had to talk about what it means to be in your soft parenting era and whether or not these kids were getting off too easy or if there was just a little bit more that needed to be discussed around the conversation. Outside of that, we talked a little bit about these Black men, some of them, engaging with some of these girls and ending up with the raw end of the deal. Jeezy, I hope that this girl don't put you on more child support than you can afford with your little snowman checks, because I have not heard a good Jeezy song since I was in high school in Miami. And I was about 16. Jeezy, I'm 30 years old. It's been about 15 years, give or take, since you've had a decent hit. I would say leave that little Asian girl alone, okay? Just let her take what she gonna take. Don't argue with her. Leave that girl alone. Because I don't think that you can hang with the big dogs, okay? Look, I'm just letting you know. It's giving crazy rich Asians over there. You don't want none with that legal team. So I'm just going to let you know. Don't be slipping. Don't get caught slipping. Don't be out here with none of these Instagram models. Because, baby, if they catch you through the window, they going to tax on a couple more thousand. And I don't know if you got it. I don't know if you got it. I don't know if you got it, Jeezy. I don't think you got it. Okay? But if you want to hear my full thoughts about those things, you have to rewatch this episode once it actually airs or get here on time. Because when I'm live and y'all ain't on time, I feel some type of way. Okay? Just wanted to let y'all know that. Even though I be late, don't do as I do as I say and get here on time. Okay? Now, we've had an interesting couple of weeks as TGNC people. TGNC standing for transgender and gender nonconforming folks. And there are so many different ways to be and show up as a transgender person. And I understand that not everybody is going to move and shake in the same ways. And I also understand that there are cultural differences with things. So I'm going to play a clip for y'all, and then we're going to get into a little variation. Here we go.
You look beautiful. Are you transgender? Are you like lady boys?
Are you a lady boy?
Yeah, I'm lady boy. Most of people will call me like transgender or like female. Actually, I don't mind whatever you want to call me. Shinny lady boy, shinny transgender, or shinny female.
So do you see yourself as like a woman?
I want to look beautiful like woman, but as I know, I'm not a real woman. So I'm not going to call myself a woman because I am like this. So I have nothing to lie and honest. Yeah.
So there's a couple of things at play here, right? I can't completely do away with this woman's like ideation of how she wants to identify herself. I remember I was legitimately fired from a job because I told somebody that while I am a trans woman, I don't identify, as a female. And the people that I worked for at the time told me that even though I was a trans woman and even though I was speaking specifically about myself, that they could not align themselves with a trans woman that did not feel that, trans women are women, or that trans women are female. And now let me be very clear before this clip gets taken out of context. To me, in my opinion, I believe that trans women are women. How and so motherfucking ever, right? Trans women, in my opinion, and I will keep this as an I statement, I do not believe that I am a female, and I think that that is the difference. When it comes down to the ideation of how Hope Giselle wants to be identified, I don't necessarily think that I need the identifier of female because that is not what it is. When I go to the doctor, people like to use this as a read, but to me, it's not a read. When I go to the doctor, I do still need to tell the doctor to check my prostate. When I go to the doctor, I do need to let them know that I don't have ovaries and things of that nature. I've had doctors who, I go in for a tummy ache or something like that, and they pressing down, trying to feel around for things that are not there. I've gone in for an ultrasound just before, like, you go and get a surgery or like, I forgot what I went in for the ultrasound for, but I went in for an ultrasound. And in the midst of getting the ultrasound, this woman is like frantically searching for my ovaries, which are not there. Right? And she is pressing, she is looking, she done scooted my panties down for as low as she can get before she hit my cooch looking for it. And they are just, the ovaries ain't there, sis. And I thought that it was on my chart. I thought that she would have known, but nobody let her know that I was transgender. And so I had to have that conversation with her. And I think that these things are, I don't want to call them delusions, right? Believe what you want to believe about yourself. That is your truth. I'm not going to try to deny you of that truth. I'm not going to try to tell you that you're crazy, because I'm pretty sure that there are some people that, regardless of what I'm saying right now, are still going to think that I'm crazy for being trans or whatever the case may be. And so who the fuck am I to tell somebody else that they done, hit their rocker? But I do believe that as it pertains to conversations like this, I do wish that to some degree that we had conversations with our sisters overseas so that they understood how these videos land here. I believe that they're in Thailand because y'all know Thailand is a space where they often and frequently use the term ladyboy for transgender women. And I believe that they're in Thailand. And so in Thailand, what I also know is that ladyboys or transgender women are not sought out as disgusting, vile creatures that need to be eliminated and that needs to be pulled off the face of the earth. And so I think that the reason why you have trans women who are more open to the idea of saying like, oh, I'm not this, I'm not that, or, I don't care, is because there isn't a dehumanization of them based off of the way that they identify or don't identify. They're still seen as human beings. They even have markers that they can put on their driver's license that, name their identity so that they don't have to be like misgendered, or so that they don't have to like go through what I go through at the doctor with having to tell the doctor or having to constantly out myself because somebody didn't read your chart or they didn't read your medical records or whatever the case may be. But also, there's not a lot of people walking around Thailand going, beat that nigga ass, right? Like, there's not a lot of people going and doing that. And I think that if America had a more open stance on treating trans people like people, whether you're a trans woman, a trans man, or a non-binary person, you would have more people that were willing to say things that might feel problematic, but only feel problematic because of what is going to come behind saying things like that. So let me give this context. In the comments, a lot of people, specifically Black folks, people of color, are like, oh, Well, at least she knows what she is. And what's so funny about that is how open and willing you are to call somebody by the pronouns that they would like to be called, so long as you feel like they are doing so within the realm that makes you comfortable. So you're open to calling her she as long as you know that she's not pressed about being called she. But how come if I am pressed about being called she, you can't just respect me because I've done nothing wrong to you? I've done nothing to you that changes your life. You're going to be pissed off about this video, but nothing in your day is going to change because I said, my name is Hope Giselle and my pronouns are she, her. And I think that a lot of you all don't understand the reason why a lot of the American girls don't adapt this type of lackadaisical ideation behind the way that we identify. And it's because for a lot of us, if we look like this, like myself, if you benefit from cis assumability, if you benefit from passing privilege, and you go around and go out of your way to let people know that you're a transgender, one, you become that much more unsafe than outside of people just believing, that they can treat women of any kind, any type of way. Now, because you're trans, they really feel like they can walk all over you and really dismantle you as a human being. And on top of that, you're not just worried at that point about the men that are going to be physically abusive to you, but now you're worrying about the women that are going to be psychologically and verbally abusive to you, on top of the men that are going to also join into that. There are so many other things and nuances that allow women in other countries, specifically those in Thailand, to be able to come out and say like, oh, I'm a trans girl. I'm you can call me a she-male. You can call me X, Y, and Z. Because oftentimes those terms don't come with negativity attached to them. Those terms don't come with disgusting terminology behind them. Even when y'all have adapted the term she-male or ladyboy over here, y'all don't say it as a term or of a description. Y'all say it with the intention to humble us and tell us that we are not this thing at all. Y'all like to call us its and things and transformers and all of this other bullshit. And then y'all wonder why the girls are so hard pressed to either pass or not disclose the tea or be hell-bent on the idea that we're women. And it's because if we are anything but, y'all take it beyond the liberty to discuss how y'all are going to make our lives hard, how y'all are going to do away with us, how y'all are going to beat us into the ground. And it's just quite frankly and simply unfair. And I don't think that it should be a thing that we have to accept. So what y'all have to understand here is that there's a cultural difference for the reason why this young lady feels the way that she feels and has adapted the thought process that she's adapted. A lot of that comes from the fact that in her culture, she doesn't have to fight for her life as it pertains to somebody knowing that she was born, a male. She doesn't have to fight for her ability to move through the world freely because somebody knows that she was born as a male. All she has to do is be able to, kind of sort of display that or be able to communicate that. And quite frankly, in her culture, she's likely going to have more opportunities because of it, and especially if she's a sex worker, because people are open about their attractions for women of that persuasion in Thailand. Unlike these niggas here who will be all in the comments talking shit, but then be on the ads paying for the girl's whole life, college tuition, and condo. It doesn't make sense. I think that when we have this conversation, while a lot of the girls are pissed and pressed about the way that she identified, and I do understand that from an American perspective, what I also understand is that in different cultures, people move different ways, and she's able to move differently because she understands that her freedom, her life, her mental health is not going to be at risk if she doesn't. Whereas over here, we do. And on top of that, it'll be the same people over here that will tell you you're disgusting, you're this, you're that, blah, 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 that will be in your DMs 2 seconds after this. And I'm sure had they left her on this video that was posted, her whole fucking DM will be flooded with men trying to get at her while also saying that, she's disgusting or calling her a he in the comments. So that's just my 2 cents on that. And I'm hoping that it does shed light on some of the American girls that saw this video and had a little bit of problem with it, because I understand where we are coming from. But I think that we also have to understand that just because safety is a prime concern for American trans women, it does not mean that it's the same concern for a lot of trans women overseas, and specifically in places where trans women have been accepted a little bit more. and taken in by the culture like they have been, especially in places like, you know, Thailand. So let's just, you know, not always go for the gusto on some of these things, because oftentimes people can't control the way that they're being seen by the outer public or the way that the outer public is going to treat them. But what we can control is what we like to call a little thing called racism. Now, I want to let y'all watch this video by my good homeboy, the Jolly Good Ginger, and then we're going to come back and discuss, because he got all of the points, and I need y'all to hear him.
Tonight, a third American tourist arrested in Turks and Caicos, facing the possibility of 12 years in prison.
So if you haven't heard about this yet, for the third time, an American who's on a cruise to Turks and Caicos has been arrested for having ammunition in their luggage. Now, the ammunition was an accident. In all three cases, it was in their luggage, but they didn't know it was there because they had used this same luggage previously for like hunting trips and things like that. So it was a complete oversight on their part. No malicious intent. But in Turks and Caicos, possessing ammunition to a firearm is a minimum of a 12-year sentence. Now, this made me think of another time in which an American was sentenced in a foreign country for having something that they packed by accident. In 2022, Brittany Griner was arrested when entering Russia at the airport for having a vape cartridge in her bag that had THC in it. She was later sentenced to 9 years in prison because having a THC vape cartridge in Russia is illegal. She did not intentionally have it in her bag. It was an accident. But a lot of people, especially people on the right, had a lot to say about her being arrested in a foreign country for breaking their laws. So I would like to respond to these three situations using comments that I found on posts from Brittany Griner's sentencing in Russia. He deserved the sentence. It says he because it's a common tactic of bigots to call black women men. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Actions have consequences, also called her he. This really isn't that serious. Oh my God. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. There's no way people are defending her. Other countries have different laws. Keep him. Actions have consequences. Do people not understand that the rules are completely different outside of America? Oh my God, no way. Are you telling me laws are different in other countries? Hey, it's their laws. And would you look at that, the consequences of my own actions. So now that I see those same exact people in the comment section of these stories saying, oh my God, this is so unjust, send them home, I can only think thoughts and prayers.
Prayers and sorrows, prayers and sorrows. Prayers and sorrows. Let me tell y'all something. And this one ain't gonna be a long one. Because racists gonna race. Okay? Racists are gonna be racist, are gonna be racist, are gonna be racist times a racist plus a racist times two. And the one thing that I will never expect a racist to do is not be that. Okay? Out of all of the things in the world that I expect motherfuckers to not do, I don't expect a racist to not be a racist, because they enjoy it so much that even when something makes ample amount of sense, they gonna find a way to dismantle it, to discredit it, to make it seem as though it wasn't, because they enjoy, they are completely enthralled with the idea of making something about race. But then they turn around and tell us that we do the same thing, that we have, you know, horrible and negative agendas when it comes down to the ideation of prioritizing race. They tell us that it has nothing to do with race and that we make everything about color. But then we see them in real time acting the fuck up. And I really just think that as it pertains to situations like this, we as Black folk and we as people of color in general have to be very mindful about the way that these people showcase that they don't see us as human beings. They see us as disposable inconveniences to them. And I'm going to say this a lot on this show. I'm going to say this a lot on multiple platforms. We have to be mindful about the ways in which we put our trust in people who do not see it for us and do not value our humanity, let alone our civil rights. A person that does not see you as a human being based on the color of your skin is a person who is likely willing, right, to lie on you, to steal from you, to cheat you, to make it seem like you've done things that you are not doing. And so one of the things that I am not surprised by is this post, is the reaction, is the ways in which they try to scapegoat and gaslight. And if you were to point it out, they would try to come up with all of the different reasons for why it's not the same and all of these different things. People like this are mentally fucking ill. People like this are mentally fucking ill. And what we have to do as folks who are not mentally ill is be better, is to rise above, continue to call that shit out, check them when needed be, and have moments like the Alabama motherfucking boat brawl when they're absolutely necessary. Because if we don't, and if we can continue to cry and bitch and moan and act like this is something new every single time they show us exactly who the fuck they are, instead of believing them, we are going to constantly and always be in situations like this. And so here are my final thoughts. So my final thoughts for this week are this. Regardless of whether you're thinking about how you read your children, who you have your children with, the ways that the law and the world sees you, or just feeling completely invisible based off of where you are and how you were born, it is not your job to navigate somebody else's feelings about your actions. And if you are okay with what the fuck you've done, then be okay and stand 10 toes down in that. Even if that thing is absolutely horrible. If you think that that shit is cool, if you think that it's right, if you think that it was a vibe, don't let somebody else tell you that it wasn't, but understand that everything has a consequence. For every action, there is a reaction. And sometimes that reaction is going to be negative. But if you genuinely believe in the thing that you're standing 10 toes down on, then do so regardless of the reaction. Because if you're only doing so for the sake of trying to get a positive reaction from people, one, you've already failed. And two, it's likely that you know that what you're doing is dead ass wrong. So instead of having to have a positive reaction later, just do the right thing the first time. Until next time, I'll see you all around. Bye, everybody.
Talk to me nicely. I noticed they hit it, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't get advice, we know.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.